I hear scientists on time after time talking about the difficulties they have in getting their message across to the policy community. And that's partly because scientists themselves are not very good at engaging with the policy making process. Unless scientists engage with politicians at a local level and at a national level, as individuals and through their learned societies, unless they do that, they can't complain when they get the wrong results. Part of the difficulty is that an awful lot of major scientific issues have a time cycle associated with them that's out of kilter with the political cycle. Politicians tend to think in 4 or 5 year chunks, and yet some of the really big challenges take considerably longer than that to address. So finding ways to get support across political boundaries so that one can expect that an incoming government will continue to support a programme is hugely important. There have been some good examples of how that's happened. It's happened inside the European and UK space agencies. It's happened within CERN and some other areas of, if you like, big science. But in terms of some of the strategic delivery aspects of the world of ecology, for example, the current underfunding of the Department of Environment and Rural Affairs is something that does worry me, and unless we get some long-term strategic planning into that funding programme, we will be forever keeping our finger in the dike. I think every scientist has a responsibility to ensure that the people that are elected to represent them in their constituency or in where their workplace is located, those policymakers need to know why the science is being undertaken in their communities, what it's for, why it's relevant to the future well-being of the local community, and to get people better engaged with the reasons why the particular area of science is being invested in that locality. There are some very successful programs where change is occurring. We're seeing some universities doing a little bit of work in terms of engaging young research scientists in how policy is made. Charities like Newton's Apple are doing that in a structured way up and down the country, but it's still pretty small scale. We've really got to use the impact agenda in some way to encourage, enthuse, cajole, and if necessary, force people to engage more actively with the policy making process. Unless we do that, it will leave a lot of big gaps in the policy system. Well, there's many examples of that. Just in the last few days, I've been speaking to newspapers who have been following the government's changing policy on alcohol consumption as an example. That's taking a long period of scientific work to prove the need for a change of policy, but eventually the government has woken up to the need for such change. Equally, the way, for example, the risk register is put together has changed dramatically. There is far more engagement with scientists on the ground in that area. there have been some pretty difficult areas in the environmental world, and it's not a secret that I have fundamentally disagreed with the government, for example, over the management of bovine TB, and that's an area where the science and encouragement of the farming community in particular needs to have we need to have a fresh look at how we deal with problems like that. So there have been some failures, but there have been some fantastic successes as well.